Hey guys, this is Caitlin from Bandy's Books, just here with my weekly updates. Um, wow, it's been a busy week. I am currently transitioning at my job from the location that I'm at to a new location. Originally, when I applied for the location I'm currently at, but some things kind of switched up. There were some unanticipated changes with the manager coming back. And so now I'm being sent to a different location. And so I'll be starting that in this upcoming week, which has been a little bit interesting because I'm trying to wrap up things that I've been working on at the other store. And then it means that my schedules for the next few weeks are not schedules that I got to write for myself. They're ones that the manager at the store that I'm transferring to wrote for me. And so they're definitely a bit outside of what I would normally do for myself. But that's okay. Happens sometimes. So just been really hectic with the work stuff, lots of changes, lots of things going on. Oz and I did get to go out on a camping trip this weekend. In fact, we just came back this afternoon. We went out to Mount Charleston, which is just a little bit north of Las Vegas. And we stayed in a campground up there. And originally when we got there, we weren't actually even sure we were going to stay. There was reports that there's going to be wind, like huge gusts of wind, and it looked like it was going to get really cold, but actually it ended up being pretty nice. It was cold and there were gusts of wind, but the wind tapered off, I want to say like around 7 or 8. We did get snowed on though, which was unanticipated. There was actually no rain predicted, no snow, nothing, just the winds. And I guess moisture came in along the mountains. And so we got snowed on from like say 8 o'clock until about 11 p.m. So it did get really chilly, but that actually was great for me and my reading because basically we hunkered down in the tent, me, him, and Luna, wrapped ourselves up in our sleeping bags, and Oz and Luna knocked out pretty quick. But I stayed awake because I was into a book and I could not put it down, and I actually read the whole entire thing. So I'm very excited about that. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But it was just kind of the thing I needed, really. It's been a minute since we have gotten to go out on a camping trip. It's a little hard right now because with my job, I'm on call essentially all the time. Because if something goes wrong, then I get called in to deal with it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't go camping or like go out and do things. It just means that I have to be somewhere there's cell phone reception. And so it's kind of spotty in the mountains. So this weekend was like my last weekend where I was going to have an opportunity to do something without having to worry about that. But we were talking about that over the weekend and that we're probably going to get one of those satellite like Garmin Mini InReach phones. So that way I have cell service like for text messages out in the mountains. So that way, if there was an emergency, I'd be able to like be in contact. So yeah, it was great to get out to the mountains. Luna had a blast. Okay. So it's been a minute as well since Luna's got to go on a camping trip and she just absolutely loves it. We have a sleeping bag specifically for her. And we put like she has like a little round bed. So we put her bed inside the sleeping bag and then she lay in it and we like fold it over and kind of wrap her up like a little donut. And she just knocks out. I don't think she sleeps so hard anywhere else. And then in the morning, the snow, like I don't think she's seen snow and like she's walked in a little bit, but I don't think she's ever seen it like this. And so she was just zoomies all morning long. She was biting the snow and then she would zoom back and forth. And she's just very, very excited. So it's kind of nice to get to see like just Luna having such a good time too. So, short little trip, just a night out in the mountains. We wanted to go out on Friday, but it was a friend of ours' birthday. So we compromised, went to our friend's birthday on Friday, and then went out camped Saturday to Sunday. So hopefully we'll be able to sneak in a few more little small trips here and there. Reading this week. Reading this week has been very good. I have got several books completed. So first of all, I completed 2 books for the BookTube prize. I had 3 that I needed to complete in May because the voting is at the end of this month. I had finished 3 of those books in April, and now I'm done 2 of the ones I needed to read into May. So I have 1 left. Hopefully I'll finish within the next week or so. I've actually already started it. If you're wondering why I'm not naming the books or being vague, it's just because we're not supposed to talk about our feelings on the BookTube prize books until the voting round is over. But I do plan to do a review video of all 6 books that I read and talk about them. But suffice it to say, I really enjoyed the 2 that I did read this week. And they were 2 of the longer books, so I was pretty happy to get them both done in the same week. And then I made good progress during my reading sprints this week. So I decided that I'm basically just going to focus on these 2 books for my reading sprints throughout the month. So this actually might not end up lasting me the whole month. I am over halfway through Chlorine now. I've been reading this quite a bit in the reading sprints just because I keep like ending up in weird places to leave it off. So I keep going. But I'm enjoying this one so far. I would say that some of the descriptions in it are a little bit more graphic than I need, or like a little bit more repetitive than I need. And I think sometimes authors do that to try to come across edgy or like super literary. So I would say that's like my only critique of this so far, but it is interesting, this idea of this girl wanting to become a mermaid and being obsessed with that idea. And I'm curious to see where this is going. And then I started After Parties in My Reading Sprints by Anthony Vyazna-So. This is a short story collection about Cambodian Americans in Southern California. I grew up in Southern California, so there's lots of concepts in here that are fairly familiar to me. And yeah, the first story that I read was about a donut shop and this mother and her two daughters, and kind of Khmer culture and like how to identify somebody as Khmer, which was really interesting. I thought it was a good story, and so I'm really invested in getting into more of these stories. And I really like reading short story collections during the reading sprint, so I think I'm going to make this like my dedicated reading sprint book for the rest of the month. So both of those making decent progress. I should probably be finished with Chlorine by the end of the week, I think. And then After Parties, I think, like I said, I'll just kind of break it up through the remainder of the reading sprints for the month. And then I'm still working on Persians by Sanam Malouji. I got about halfway through this earlier this month, as you can see, and I kind of just stalled off. I don't like dislike this, but it's kind of, some of the characters are a little like grating, and so I just kind of needed a little bit of a break, but I'm hoping that I'm going to get back to it this week. Okay, so as for the book that I completed that I can actually talk about, the book that I binged on my camping trip was The Unworthy by Agustina Basterica. This is the author who wrote Tender is the Flesh. This is her newest translation to English. I think this book actually published in Spanish in 2023, but it was just recently released in English. Aardvark featured it. When I go camping, I love to bring kind of like creepy horror thriller sort of books. And so this was perfect because this is not a super long book. I think it's only 175 pages. We're only going to be out for one night, and it's got that kind of creepy dystopian vibe. And so I was like, oh, this will be a good campfire read. And I ended up getting really invested in it. I read the whole 175 pages basically while we were in the tent, hunkered down because of the snow. So this is a dystopian fiction. We have a female main character who is part of the Sacred Sisterhood. She is an unworthy, and there are all these different like hierarchies and whatnot within this Sacred Sisterhood. And she's kind of commenting on like how people become different parts of the Sacred Sisterhood, and how she became an unworthy. And then somebody shows up to the Sacred Sisterhood asking for refuge from climate catastrophe, and that triggers a whole bunch of feelings and memories. This is a really interesting read. I really didn't know where this was going or what was going to happen until very far in the story. It's creepy and disconcerting, unsettling. It paints a very morbid picture of the world and like where things are going. And I found it really interesting. I can't say that this is a perfect story. I wouldn't say that this wowed me the way that Tender is the Flesh did. But I did really enjoy this. I thought it was interesting. I liked where it ended too. I actually really liked the ending of it, and felt like it was a little bit cathartic. As for usual, I think Agustina Basterica is really good at writing like repelling or gross things, because there's plenty of that in here, as there was in Tender is the Flesh. But yeah, overall, I think this ended up being a really good book for camping. And like I said, I was able to just like sit down and binge the whole thing. So that worked out really nicely. Today, I started The Family Chow by Lan Samantha Chang. This is one of the oldest books on my bookshelves. I got this like, gosh, way back when I first started my YouTube channel, I think in like 2022. And it's just been sitting there, and I've put it on my TBR several times, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it, but I just decided that like when I was trying to pick my next book, I couldn't decide what I wanted to read. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to clear the oldest book on the TBR off. And so I started this one. I'm not very far in yet. I want to say I'm like about 40 pages in. And it's just kind of setting up this family, these boys. One of the boys had a traumatic experience like right off the bat, where he was coming home and this man approached him for help getting somewhere, and then unfortunately had like a heart attack, and he's trying to keep him alive doing CPR. And so that's kind of where the book has started off at. Not sure where it's going. I know it's about this family and this Chinese restaurant that they run in this town. So looking forward to seeing what this is about. like I said, it's been on the bookshelf for forever. So, okay. So now that we've talked about things that got started this week, things that happened this week, let's talk about upcoming week. So next week, like I mentioned at the beginning of this channel, of this update, sorry, not channel, I am starting work at a new store this week. So Monday, I'm going back to my old store for the day. And then Tuesday, I go over to the new store. So I'm a little anxious about that. I'm not sure what to expect. This is a store right now that's getting a lot of corporate attention. We have this big event in June where all of the corporate muckety mucks are going to be here in Vegas for a convention. And that store is very close to where the convention is. So there's an expectation that there are going to be a lot of corporate visits. So basically I have to go there and keep it like by the book to standards, and keep it like from having the wheels fall off essentially. But the good news is like it's already in pretty good shape. So I shouldn't have to go in and triage a bunch of stuff. I think nervous because it's like every time you start at a new place, you have to build relationships all over again, meet a whole new group of people, earn trust, that whole thing. So it's not that I'm not excited, but I guess I'm tired because I feel like I've been doing that a lot lately because I'm getting bounced around so much that it's like, great, I got to start all over again. However, I've been told that this will be my permanent location. So hopefully this is the last time for a while that I have to do that. And other than that, the only other exciting plan that I have, I think Tuesday we're going to go rock climbing. Usually we go on Wednesdays, but Wednesdays right now I'm going to have to work evenings. So no more rock climbing for at least a month. So we are going to do a Tuesday meet. And then on Sunday, me and Oz and a couple of our friends are supposed to go hike this set of mountains out in Mount Charleston called Sisters. There's North Sister, South Sister, and then Black Rock. And they're kind of like all three in a row. So it's a fun hike. We've done it before. It's probably like a 5-6 hour a day, but it's a nice area. It's real pretty views and it's challenging, but it's not like one of those like kill you kind of hikes. So I'm looking forward to that. Just looking forward to some mountain time. So upcoming videos, on Tuesday, I'll be posting a tag video. And on Friday, I have a review video that is already edited, completed, and uploaded. So that should be going up. I'm also hoping to get my April wrap-up video up next week. I've already shot it. I have not edited it yet, but I have several nights this week where I'm like, don't have to go until 1, 3, whatever. So I have the whole morning to just sit and edit videos and like focus. So I'm actually, although my schedule is really crazy next week in terms of work, it's actually a really good schedule for the next couple weeks in terms of like video editing and video shooting. And then I'm hoping to maybe get one other surprise video up. I can't guarantee it, but like I said, it looks like I'm going to have a lot of time to edit and get stuff done. So hopefully there will be an additional video. And then things that I'm hoping to read next week. So like I mentioned, I am finishing up Chlorine. I think should be finished soon. I don't even know if this is going to make it to the reading sprints because I may finish this tonight. I think I have like, I don't know, 70 pages left. So that's a couple hours of sitting down and reading and it'll be done. But I am going to continue after parties in my reading sprints. I think if I have Chlorine done, then I'll just focus on after parties and I could probably make pretty good progress. I would say this is like, I don't know, 260 pages. Probably make it halfway through that on my reading sprints. And then, obviously I started this one today, so I'll be reading this into the week for sure. Probably be likely to finish this week, I think. It's not a super long book either. And then I have one more book for the BookTube prize. That one is one of the shorter ones. So I anticipate being able to knock that out this week as well. So that is a solid amount of reading there. That would be those 3 books complete plus the BookTube prize book. I'd be super happy with that. But if that's not enough and I have some extra time, this is still on my radar. It's like a cozy fantasy. It's kind of giving me Miyazaki vibes and I don't know, something about it kind of, it just reminds me of a Miyazaki film, the way it's described, the cover art, all of it. And so I like a good cozy once in a while. And so this is definitely going to get read before the end of the month, either this week or the week after. And I also possibly may try to read Flashlight by Suzanne Choi. I have a ARC of that on NetGalley. That is releasing in June, like right at the beginning of June. So I was hoping to read it just prior to the release. So yeah, lots of potential things to read for next week. So yeah, I think I'm excited. This month I've been making pretty good progress reading. I think some of the previous months I have been a little bit slower as I've gotten back into the swing of things. Life's been chaotic, travels and all of that. And I feel like kind of now getting back into more normal numbers for myself and my reading. So I'm excited. Hey, hello, good evening. I'm not sure what ENH means. Trying to think if there were any other books that I was hoping to start. I think that that's pretty much it in terms of books to start. And yeah, so I'm up to for May already want to say like 11 or 12 books, which is much more normal for me, like in a month, because I think prior to this year, I was reading on average like 20 to 25 books a month. And so far this year, I think I've been averaging, I don't know, like 7 books a month, which is a lot lower than usual. Hi, I'm enjoying hearing about your life and book updates. Is there a reading sprint this week? Yes, there is a reading sprint. Let me double check the time, but I believe it is 11 a.m. on Thursday. And I have to make sure, because my schedule changed, that didn't change. So as I mentioned, I got reassigned to this other location. Yeah, it'll be at 9 a.m. Yes, so reading sprints this Thursday, 9 a.m. Probably will run for about 2 hours. We've been having a really great time with reading sprints the last couple weeks. Lots of people popping in. Everybody's making good progress with their books. I've been making great progress. I think that's one of the things I really like is the reading sprints really hold me accountable for carving out some dedicated reading time to just sit and like it's kind of nice and relaxing. So yeah, on Thursday, I don't go into work until much later in the day. So I'll be running my reading sprints from 9 a.m. to probably about 11 a.m. And that should work out very nicely. So I think that's pretty much everything. We've talked about what we did this week, talked about the books I read this week, books that I started. As you can see, I kind of have one of those minds that like wanders. That's not even all of them. So many books are like started and I've gotten partially through. So hopefully make progress on all of those this week. And then, yeah, that's about it. Really, I look forward to reading sprints on Thursday. If you're around, pop in, make a little bit of progress on your reading goals. Or like if you have other things and you just want to make it a productivity sprint, totally works well as well. We have people that pop in and do that. And then I have a weekly update scheduled for next Sunday as well. I have reading sprints and weekly updates scheduled all the way through the end of June, or I'm sorry, all the way through the end of May. And then probably next weekend, as I have a clearer picture of what my June is going to look like, I will schedule reading sprints and weekly updates for June as well. But yeah, I've been really enjoying getting back to things and yeah, hopefully I'll have a good update next week with lots of books completed since I have so many of them started. So I think this is the point where I'm going to leave off. Thank you everybody for popping in and hopefully I'll see you guys reading sprints on Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a good Sunday evening, guys.